you got it.
All right, we are live. All right, so this is
All right.
our third episode, and I know in the last episode we said we were going to talk about cancel culture, death penalty, and Kanye, but we
Oh
only
yeah, I forgot.
we got lost in the sauce regarding cancel culture.
Definitely lost to the sauce a
um,
couple minutes ago.
but we wanted to follow up on death penalty, and I guess maybe Kanye. We'll see. We'll see how long.
Yeah, we'll
this
see.
goes.
Yeah.
We like to keep them short because I don't know. It seems I don't know. I'd rather watch 15-minute episodes on one topic than a 45-minute on three.
We can do that. If we it depends on how long the death penalty is, but if it reaches like 15, we can just make it like finish that one and then start Kanye if we want. I don't know. But
Yeah.
anyway,
I'll just try to keep more track on the time, and then we can just kind of move forward because I think sometimes we got slow. But anyways,
yeah.
death penalty.
Mhm.
So what is the death penalty? It's sentencing someone to die. I think the most recent method is lethal injection.
Yeah. Used to be electric chair, right?
Electric chair, and then I don't know. God, I feel stupid saying this, but I feel like the guillotine was.
I was thinking of that too.
In the United States, I don't know. I know in like
I think that was
England,
a long time ago. Yeah.
In England, that was the thing, but I'm not sure.
I think that was
U.S.
like
history geniuses here.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, my U.S. history class.
Hey, you know. Anyways.
What's your stance on the death penalty?
I am anti-death penalty.
Anti-death penalty, and why is that?
Across the board. I don't know. I think I like. Let me ask you some questions, and then like through that I'll kind of explain why. So like, first off, like what. Okay, we'll start off with like, what if you believe in the death penalty? Like, what kind of person deserves the death penalty?
So my thing with the death penalty is I don't know. I'm kind of mixed, but like I'm kind of leaning pro death penalty, but like I'm kind of in the middle because like for an example, let's think of like a mass murderer. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say school shootings. Let's just say like there's one in San Bernardino, like 2015, something like that. Guy came into I think some place where people worked, shot it up completely.
San Bernardino shooter. Let me look up his name.
Okay. Another good topic to talk about later is like people using Islam to like support their, terrorist ideals and stuff like that. Like they kind of use Islam as a front for it. Say they're Islamic, but
So do you mean like the public saying that like it's Islam, or are you saying like the perpetrators?
Yeah, how the perpetrators. I think they believe they're Muslim or something like that, but then they commit acts like that, quote unquote, in the name of Islam or something like that. Which isn't.
Yeah.
Isn't true. That's not part of the religion at all. So we can talk about that and also the conception of Islam in America and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that is a good, very complex thing that we can talk about eventually. But yeah, no, I just looked it up, and it was an mass shooting and an attempt bombing. Killed 16 people.
It was a couple, right? I think it was a couple that they left their baby at home or something. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a couple and they left their baby at home or something.
Oh, a couple. I thought you meant like a couple. Yeah, no, it was a couple. 2 people. And the motive was Islamic terrorism. Okay, so
yeah,
I guess ignoring the Islamic terrorism part, you would think people in that case deserve the death penalty.
100%. I think.
Really.
I think so. As we talked about before, the main thing for prison is rehabilitation. I mean, it's not accurate now, but like that's kind of the goal of it. And I just don't understand why we keep people like that alive, even if they got a life sentence. Like, let's say they did get a life sentence, just like, why are they still alive? Like, I feel like that's like a waste of money to keep them alive. It's just like that's kind of how I feel. I just feel like it's a waste of time, waste of money to keep these people in prisons. Like, why should we keep a shooter? I mean, think about all the families he's affected. Think about the terror of the people, and like that's 16 different people that they killed
Right.
for no reason.
Um,
You know what I mean?
okay. Well, my take on that, I don't think anybody should ever be killed by the death penalty. I don't know. I think human life is something very precious, and
Mm-hmm.
um, I mean, these people that commit these horrible, horrible, shootings, or I guess whatever you consider to be death penalty warranting, they're very messed up people,
Mm-hmm.
and I, like mentally, and I think understanding why they do these things is very complicated. But I don't think that something like you mess up very badly. I don't think anything can warrant being killed for that. And I think at the very most, like, you should spend the rest of your life in prison. You
But like,
know,
what are they doing in prison? You know what I mean? It's just waiting to die.
I don't
I mean, that's
know.
the same thing as
I
kind of
think for these
killing them.
people
Like,
that are very troubled, like, I think, I don't know, going back to like the prison should be like rehabilitation. Like, I think I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this, but everyone should have an opportunity to, you know, get better. And I'm not a huge proponent for the one for one, like you kill someone before you die.
mm-hmm.
Um, ethically, I just think human life is too precious, and I just don't think that there's anything that warrants the death penalty.
So I mean, like, so when you say like, what do you mean, right? Like, human life is precious, kind of.
I mean, you only get one life, and you
Mm-hmm.
could turn that around to me and say, well, you killed people, thus ruining their life.
And
Um,
other people's lives.
but I think it's just unnecessary. I mean, like, what's
Mm-hmm.
done is done in a sense. And like, yeah, you should be punished, but I don't think that you should die for even anything that you do.
Another like thing I have with that is like, I understand where you're coming from, but let's say it happened to your family. You know what I mean? Your whole family, everyone's gone. They was killed by this one person. I mean, do you think that killer's life is like, I don't know? You lose your entire family. You think that killer's life is so precious that he should like stay life in prison, or would you rather um, him being legally killed? And it's not like a question like you have to. I don't know. Never mind. But it's kind of like an open question. Like, you can choose either one, but like, I think personally, I wouldn't want that person to be alive. That's just kind of like my stance.
Well, I mean, they don't have to be alive in society. Like, they can be alive removed from society for the rest of their lives. But
That's more than what your family has. Like, they're still living, they're still eating. They can make relationships in prison, have friendships and stuff like that. And that's like more than like what the people they killed have.
right. So I mean, are you suggesting like a one for one?
I think so, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, like, in those scenarios specifically, you know what I mean? And I know that can't work out. So I mean, in the end, I'm against death penalty. But if it was just like those stuff like that, when it was like, let's say for example, like mass shooters, terrorists, stuff like that, I think they should be.
I don't know. I think it's immoral to kill someone for their actions, especially considering how ill these people are. I mean, you don't go out and kill people with full knowledge of what you're doing and a completely sane mind. I think a lot of these mass murderers, it's very rooted in mental illness, or just like there's a lot to explain it.
Yeah.
And it isn't moral to me to just kill these people. I mean, like I said, like human life is just so precious. Like,
Mm.
and I don't think that anything that you can do can, revoke your right to live.
Mm. I get that. I guess. I don't know.
And there's
I
also
don't.
a problem with like, race. Like,
Mm.
like people of color are disproportionately like sentenced to the death penalty because it's a very, it's not something that's, there's also like an element of like, material wealth playing into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like where you were born, where you were raised, whether you had access to education or
Yeah.
like social services, just overall mental health sort of outlets to help you deal with that and to, help you through that.
I get that.
It just begs the question of like, what do you think are what's our role of the criminal justice system? Do you think it's to hold people accountable? Do you think it's to punish people, or do you think it's to, um, help rehabilitate these people?
I think. I mean, it kind of plays. I think all of those, like all of the above. I think it should kind of,
But I
do
guess
all of
like,
that.
I mean like, where does the death penalty play into that though? That to me is just kind of punishment
But wait,
and
wait.
like almost
Yeah,
revenge.
punishment. Revenge. Yeah, I'd say it is vengeful. I think it is pretty vengeful, but I don't know. Living like keeping. I mean, even keeping. Like, would you rather? Let's say you committed a crime, or you didn't commit a crime, but you were, falsely accused of a crime. Would you rather live your life in the prison, or would you rather have lethal injection? Because another thing is,
I don't I don't think it really matters what I would want. I think it's
I just feel like it's more even then I feel like it might be more of a humane thing of lethal injection rather than like what I
to
mean, like
kill someone, to
let's
have like you be accountable for their death.
yeah, because you're living your entire, let's say you have like 30 years in prison. It's like there's no reason to live. It's just kind of like an empty shell. I don't know. I'm just looking at it from like if I was in the prison, I'd rather go out through lethal injection. You know what I mean? What am I gonna do in the prison? Like I'm literally gonna rot. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't think that's the point. I think I don't know. What I'm proposing is like you have to live with yourself for the rest of your life, knowing the horrible things that you did. But there should also be resources for you to understand why you did was bad and at least try to rehabilitate you to live the fullest life that you're able to. Um, that you're entitled to, that you're mentally capable of living.
I, I don't know. That I disagree with. I don't know. I think for the most part, I agree with you, but in those instances, I have to disagree with you. I just like I don't see. I just don't see like. Also, another thing is like how many people are really going to keep on life in prison? You know what I mean? That's another factor is how much money are we going to spend on these people? How much money are we losing out?
Yeah, and just for the record,
Mm-hmm.
the death penalty costs a lot of money to carry out.
It does.
Yeah, a lot.
I mean, compared to how long it is like to keep them in that prison, some people
Well,
have
let's
30
look
years,
that
some
up.
people have.
Okay, so it costs in California the death penalty has has cost more than 4 billion since 1978. Um,
Well, how much per person like does it cost?
I'm seeing here annual cost. Okay, so using conservative rough projections, the commission estimates the annual cost of the present system, 137 million per year, and the present system after implementation of reforms, 232 million per year, and a system which imposes a maximum penalty of life incarceration instead of the death penalty, 11.5 years. That doesn't answer anything.
And that's in the entire United States.
It costs a lot of money. I don't know. I don't think money should really be a factor. I think people are put in jail for much less for life. I mean, like nonviolent drug offenders. So I think if we're really worried about money, I think
I mean, because I'm kind of looking it up here. I mean, it's different across every state, but like California, for example, our prison population. This is from 2015.
Yeah.
Is around 133,000 population, and the average cost per inmate is around $65,000. So that's a lot of money going.
no. I mean, it
into
is insane. And I think that's another conversation we can have about like instead of we have more prisons in California than we do schools. So and like these inmates cost
Is that true?
yeah.
That's crazy. I actually had no idea.
Yeah, and I mean, we pay for more for our prison system than we do pay for our schools.
Mhm.
$65,000. I mean, that's more than the average person makes in a year.
Yeah, literally.
Um, and
That's insane.
if I mean, like, if you're to think about, I mean, like, prison reform is a pretty complex idea, but the reinvesting some of that money that we put into the prisons into schools will
Yeah.
educate people more, thus leading less people into the into the system, which creates a cycle where like eventually we won't have to theoretically. I don't know if there's ever going to be a place where there won't be people in jail, but I mean definitely decreasing those numbers. Increasing funding for mental health, increasing funding for social services, increasing funding for education.
Yeah.
Like it's honestly not that difficult. But it just takes like
I mean,
conscious effort.
Like I just checked right now, and the average per year of that would be $8.6 billion, which is that's insane
That's crazy.
per year we're spending.
Yeah.
Just in California.
Yeah.
I find that
And
insane. So
I don't know. I think it goes back to like what's good for us short term versus what's good for us long term. And short term is just like investing a shit ton in the prisons, so these criminals get what they get, move on, and then long term would be investing in the schools. So.
I
Yep.
don't know. I mean, I agree. Like investing, I feel like investing in schools is like should be the top priority. I mean, that's where like all these, that's where mostly potential killers, criminals, stuff like that. That's like a reason why they do it, because lack of education.
Yeah, exactly. But going back to the death penalty, yeah, I don't know. I think we covered what we could regarding the death penalty.
Yeah.
Um,
I think on your side, what I agree with is that sometimes in death penalties, there's definitely a good amount of time when like the person, there's like people who are falsely accused that are receiving the death penalty, and like also like you said earlier, like I think people of color are disproportionately, I don't know if it's disproportionately, but it's like unfairly for the most part, more than their white counterparts. So
yeah, I mean,
I think that
a lot of the states have gotten rid of the death penalty. So there's not a ton of evidence recently, but a while ago that was definitely the case.
So yeah, I mean,
I just don't see the gain in all of it, except for getting revenge, and because I think you can hold someone accountable by having them spend the rest of their life in prison and learn why what they did was bad, without killing them. Because what does killing them even do?
Takes them out. I mean, the person, the family probably sleep at night knowing the person is gone. You know what I mean? And also, I mean, I'm not gonna say a lot because I don't know honestly, but I feel like a good amount of times the people who do that won't always. I feel like there's a good amount of times where they won't really learn from it.
I mean, they don't have to learn. They're gonna be in prison for the rest of their lives. So.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like that's like the same as killing them, but I don't know. I see where you're coming from. But also, I mean, my side is I don't. I mean, I feel like it's kind of like the same thing, like keeping them in prison. But the thing with the death penalty is that you save more money because you're wasting so much money per year on people like that. I think it's like a monetary thing, and it's just like a kind of, I don't know, like a I can't think of a word for it, but just like internally, I feel like people just like feel better. But I understand what you're talking about, like when you say life is precious and stuff like that. So
I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
don't think it's fair to put portray human life as a number. Um,
But I mean, that's what we're doing with the victims, like 16 people. Like we don't know them at all.
right, but I'm saying it as in like money.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean.
Um,
But
and
I
I
mean, would
guess
you
you
rather?
could you could also turn this around and say that like these people. I don't know. There's a in California, in the United States, we kind of view criminals as being like at fault for their own actions, whereas like
Mm,
in a lot of other countries who have much better criminal justice systems than us, they
mm,
view crime as like almost a mistake of society. Like we weren't
yeah,
able to, um,
it's from happening.
yeah, we weren't able to give these people the resources to prevent them from doing this. We weren't able to teach them. So, and I think that definitely applies to the death penalty, where or like these horrible, crimes. Whereas like a lot of the times it's they are very troubled people and they're hurting
Yeah,
very bad. Like it takes, I'm willing to bet it takes a lot to go out and kill 16 people or
hmm
however many, even one person.
even
Um,
one person, yeah, let alone
um,
16.
it takes a lot, and I think there's something very wrong with them if they are, able to do that, and they are very like they need help, and I don't think killing them really does anything to
But
right
then what would help you?
right the wrongs. What do you mean? What would help?
You help them understand what they did was wrong. That doesn't change anything. They're still gonna spend the rest of their lives in prison. People are still gone.
I mean, I think
I
it
don't
should.
know.
I don't know. Like going back to when we talked about what's the role of the criminal justice system. Hold up. Um, I guess it goes back to what we think our criminal justice system's obligation to the people is.
Hmm.
Is it just to punish them, or is it to help them realize what they did was wrong to prevent stuff like this from happening again? Because I mean, studies have shown repeatedly that like increased punishment doesn't deter crime. So
They're gonna spend life no matter what.
right, yeah, but I don't know. I feel like a broken clock, saying this over and over again. But I mean, it's human life that we're talking about,
Yeah,
and
I don't know. Yeah, it's a hard
it's
topic.
yeah. I mean, it's a very.
Another
I
thing
can
is,
see I can see your standpoint, um,
yeah,
and I can
I think it's
definitely
like,
agree with that. And I definitely can see how if someone did something horrible, they should be punished to the greatest extent
yeah,
that they can. But to me, that the greatest extent isn't death.
yeah, I don't know. This is kind of a hard topic because we could both. This is something that we could both understand, like the other side, like pretty easily.
Right.
So
Um.
it's kind of difficult. But another point that I wanted to make is, um, with that money that you're spending, like let's just hone in on one specific person. You're spending a couple thousand, around 60,000 or 65,000 per year on that person. Like, isn't it more worth it to spend that money instead of having keeping that person there in prison? Isn't it more worth it to put that into school,
No, I definitely agree with that.
right?
Well, yeah, and I mean, 65,000 is like the amount it would take to put us through college, to put us through
Yeah, like
like USC, to put us through like the
yeah,
best private schools, and like yeah, exactly. Like, well, I mean, I don't think it'd be worth it to put the prisoners in there, but as a kind of a preventative step to just instead of putting these nonviolent drug offenders in jail,
yeah,
putting more
yeah,
kids with in low education areas. I mean, in low economic areas, give them more money, make public school better.
Yeah, you're preventing. All you're doing is preventing future crimes, and you're helping other
Right. I mean,
Shawnee people.
right. And I mean, it's
Yeah.
not something that would be very hard either. Whereas, like, a lot of these problems, like when talking about systemic racism and like police
Mhm.
reform, like that's very complex.
Yeah.
But investing more into education to prevent future crime, that to me is just very straightforward. Like,
Yeah.
it really doesn't get much easier.
That's my question though, because I feel like there's so many solutions we have in the world right now. It's just like we're taking none of them. It's just like who benefits from all of this, because it's clearly not the people, you know.
Exactly, and it's like it goes back to like our country versus other country in regards to how we view crime, and that
Yeah.
the society and the government is at fault for why that individual did that versus the individual is at fault for doing whatever he did.
Yeah.
It's just a very
agree.
oversimplification of a
Yeah.
very complex. And I mean that's why you see in low income areas much more crime. It's because they don't have the education,
Yeah.
they don't have the resources
Any
that
resources? Yeah.
yeah
Yeah.
it's a lot. So do you want to?
Yeah.
We're almost at 30 minutes now. Do you want to talk about Kanye really quick?
Yeah. Let's just make this pretty fast, I think.
Actually, wait. Let's cut it here. One quick one. One quick one.
All right. Cool.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this
Thank you, everyone.
helped a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. See
Shout
ya.
out to fans.